I've been on maybe a dozen Tinder dates in my life. Most were forgettable, some awkward, a couple nice, but nothing ever stuck. Until one day I matched with someone who seemed completely normal, but I should have trusted my gut, because halfway through our date I realized I wasn't talking to a stranger. I was being watched. It started on a Wednesday night. Her name was Rachel. She had a calm vibe, no selfies in a bikini or weird filters, just one picture of her by a lake and a short bio. New to town, let's explore somewhere quiet. She messaged first. Is your dog friendly or just photogenic? I laughed. It was a decent opener. We ended up talking for hours about food, travel, how weird online dating can be. She wasn't overly flirty, which I liked. She just seemed grounded. We set a date for that Friday, a coffee shop downtown, public enough to feel safe but small enough for real conversation. Friday evening, 6:45 p.m. I got there early, texted her, I'm inside, second table by the window. A few minutes later, she walked in. She looked exactly like her photo, which was rare. Same jacket, same quiet expression. She walked up to the table, smiled softly and said, Sorry if I kept you waiting. I get nervous being early. That line stuck with me. Who gets nervous being early? But I smiled, shook it off, and we started chatting. At first, everything was normal. She talked about her move to the area, asked about my job, but something felt slightly rehearsed. She'd ask me something, then answer it for me before I could speak. Like, you probably don't like crowded places, right? You seem like someone who prefers to stay on the edge of things. I laughed, kind of awkward. Yeah, that's true. But how would she know that? I figured maybe I give off that vibe. Then it got weirder. Halfway through the coffee, she mentioned something I hadn't brought up. You work near 7th and Pine, right? I paused. Yeah, how'd you know that? You mentioned it in your profile, she said quickly. But I didn't. I double-checked later. My job wasn't listed anywhere. I brushed it off. Maybe I had mentioned it while chatting and forgot. But then she said something that I know I never told her. Do you still take the bus that stops near the flower shop on Jefferson? The one with the purple awning? That stop is 2 blocks from my apartment. I only use it when I'm running late. It's not listed anywhere online. It's not even a main stop. Now I was officially uncomfortable. I laughed nervously and said, You do some serious research. She didn't laugh. She just said, I notice things. It's a habit. I excused myself to the restroom, took my phone with me, and texted a friend. This date is weird. Something feels off. They replied instantly, Leave. Call me if you need an out. When I came back, Rachel was sitting perfectly still, no phone, no coffee in hand, just watching the front door. As I sat down, she smiled again, then said, You're careful. That's good. You always check your surroundings. Like when you left your apartment yesterday, you looked over your shoulder twice before crossing the street. I hadn't mentioned where I lived, and I definitely hadn't told her anything about the day before. Now I knew. She had been watching me, not online. In real life, I stood up and said I wasn't feeling great. She didn't ask questions. She just smiled and said, That's okay. You've seen enough. I walked straight to my car, locked the doors, and drove 3 blocks before pulling over and checking everything. Instagram, Facebook, Tinder. Her account? Gone. Not unmatched. Deleted. The next day, I got a voicemail from a blocked number. No voice, just background noise. But in the final few seconds, I heard what sounded like footsteps and the creak of a door slowly closing. No words, no breathing, just the sound of someone leaving or entering somewhere. I filed a police report that same day, gave them everything I had, messages, timestamps, screenshots. They couldn't trace the number, and without a real name or phone number, there wasn't much they could do. I changed my routine, changed my number, even moved apartments a few months later. But even now, sometimes when I'm out, at a coffee shop, a crosswalk, just walking home, I get that feeling, like someone's already seen where I'm going. It had been a long time since I'd gone on a date. After a rough breakup 2 years ago, I basically gave up on the idea of meeting someone new. No dating apps, no blind dates. I just kept to myself. Work, errands, repeat. But lately, the quiet started feeling less peaceful and more empty. So one night, on a random impulse, I re-downloaded Tinder. I wasn't expecting much, but then I matched with someone named Kayla. She looked real. No filters, no flashy poses, just a couple simple photos, one with a cat on her lap, another sitting by a campfire. Her bio said, "Crime podcasts, coffee, and long walks when the world gets too loud." She messaged me first. "What's your comfort food when life falls apart?" I said pizza. She said warm bread with butter and sea salt. We kept talking. It was easy, honest even, like I could finally take a breath and not overthink what I was saying. By Saturday, she suggested we meet up. She said she knew a quiet trail just outside of town, said it was peaceful after dark. Good for conversation, she said. At first, I hesitated. Meeting someone for the first time in the woods isn't exactly what you're taught is safe, but I went. I missed being curious about someone. We met in a gravel lot just before sundown. Her car, a dusty green Jeep with one mismatched door, was already there when I pulled in. She stepped out in jeans and a hoodie, holding 2 water bottles. "Right on time," she said with a smile. "That's rare," I smiled back. "Had to make a good first impression." She handed me one of the bottles and motioned to the trail behind her. The path wasn't part of a regular park. It was older, more forgotten. Street lamps were scattered every 50 feet, but most of it was shadows and trees. As we walked, we talked about simple things, books, podcasts, quiet jobs. She said she worked part-time at a bookstore and liked walking this trail to disconnect. She never once pulled out her phone, but a few minutes in, something felt off. She started saying things I hadn't told her. "You said you work near the courthouse, right?" she asked casually. I blinked. "I don't think I mentioned that." She smiled. "Maybe I just guessed. You give off a desk job near justice kind of vibe." I laughed it off, but it didn't sit right. She kept walking, and then came another one. "You moved recently, yeah? That building on Mill Street?" Now I stopped. "How do you know that?" I asked. She just shrugged. "Maybe you said something in your messages." But I didn't. We kept walking until we reached a fork in the trail. To the right, the path stayed paved and well lit. To the left, it dipped into thick trees with no lights at all. She didn't even pause. "This way," she said, pointing left. "It's quieter. No joggers. No kids. You can actually think out there." She turned and walked ahead. I followed. The dirt path was narrow. Branches stretched out over us. The sound of traffic vanished. The air got colder. I checked my phone. 1 bar. No signal. Kayla walked ahead like she'd done this 100 times. Calm. Hands in her hoodie. Eyes forward. We walked in silence for a while. Then she said, almost softly, "There's something I want to show you." She stepped off the trail and through a gap in the trees. I followed, just a few feet behind. There was a clearing, nothing much. Just a circle of flat stones like makeshift benches. She sat on one. I stayed standing. She looked up at me and asked, "Why'd you swipe on me?" I shrugged. "You seemed real, not fake like most people." She tilted her head. "You didn't recognize me?" I paused. "What?" "I've seen you before," she said. "You walk with your head down, earbuds in, always distracted." I felt my chest tighten. "I think you've got me mixed up with someone else," I said. She pulled something from her hoodie pocket, a folded piece of paper. She handed it to me. It was a photo of me from behind, standing at a crosswalk near my apartment, time-stamped, last Wednesday. "I saw you before we matched," she said. "You look like someone who needed a break from pretending." I took a step back. "This isn't okay," I said. She didn't flinch, just sat there, calmly. "I needed to be sure," she said. I turned to leave. She didn't follow, but just before I walked back into the trees, she said, "Most people take the wrong turn trying to get out." The path back wasn't straight. Everything looked different. I moved fast. Branches scraped my arms. My shoes slipped on leaves. Then I heard it. Footsteps behind me. Steady. Not running, just following. I kept moving. Eventually the lights reappeared. The pavement. A man walking his dog came around a bend. I waved him down, trying to act calm. He stayed with me until we got to the lot. "Her Jeep? Gone." I filed a report. The officer listened carefully, then asked me to describe her. When I did, he frowned. "You're the third guy to describe her this week," he said. "Different names, same profile style, same meeting place. They searched the trail. No clearing, no stone benches, nothing. Her Tinder profile, gone. Messages wiped, like she never existed. A few days later, I found something under my windshield wiper. A photo. Me again, this time walking through a grocery store parking lot. On the back, written in small handwriting, "See? You're not invisible." Dating apps can make people feel disposable. Swipe left, forget a face. Swipe right, hope for something different, but expect more of the same. After a while, I stopped trying. A few too many dead-end conversations, too many forced laughs. I started telling people I was taking a break, but really I just didn't want to keep pretending I cared. Then I matched with Brielle. She didn't look like anyone I'd matched with before. Not flashy, not overly posed. Her photos were soft, natural, like she didn't need to try. Her tone wasn't flirty or dry, it was thoughtful. She asked questions that actually mattered. Where did I grow up? What makes me feel safe? When was the last time I felt understood? I answered without overthinking. It didn't feel like small talk, it felt like someone listening. We never spoke on the phone, no FaceTime. She said she didn't like how her voice sounded over speakers. Honestly, that didn't bother me. After 4 days of steady back and forth, she invited me over. No dinner, no bar, no walk in the park. Her apartment. I paused. I even typed out, "Maybe we should meet in public first," but I deleted it before hitting send. Then she messaged, "I feel safer in my space. You'll understand when you see it." There was something in that sentence, calm, final, and personal, that made me feel like saying no would be insulting, like I'd ruined something good before it had the chance to start. So I said yes, and that was the last decision I made without regret. Her apartment was on the second floor of a brick building just outside the city, the kind of place you drive past 100 times without noticing. No gate, no buzz-in system, just a wooden door with peeling numbers. She texted, "It's unlocked. Just come in." I stood outside for a second, unsure, but then I opened the door. The first thing I noticed was the silence. No TV, no music, no signs of movement. The second thing I noticed was how clean everything was. Too clean. No shoes by the door, no keys on the counter, no photos on the wall. It didn't look lived in. It looked staged. "Brielle?" I called out lightly. Her voice came from down the hall. "Just finishing something. I'll be out in a second." Her tone was gentle, even, but distant, like she wasn't talking to me, just reciting lines from another room. I sat on the edge of the couch. It was firm, bare. A single lamp lit the room. No clutter, no warmth, and then something strange happened. The hallway light flicked on. Not suddenly, just a slow, dim glow. Then I heard it. A creak. Floorboards. From the opposite end of the hall. I looked toward the bedroom door, still closed. No footsteps, no shadow. Then her voice again. "Did you lock the door behind you?" I froze. I hadn't. I got up, walked to the front door, and turned the lock. As soon as it clicked, I heard a different voice from down the hall. A man's voice. "He locked it." My chest tightened. I didn't move. I just listened. The bedroom door creaked open. Footsteps, heavier this time, started down the hallway. I bolted, not toward the door, toward the kitchen. I grabbed the first drawer handle I saw and yanked it open. Nothing inside. Next one, towels. Third one, scissors. I took them. The footsteps stopped just before the hallway opened up. I shouted, "I'm not alone!" Someone knows I'm here. Silence. Then, the sound of the back window sliding open. I ran to the front door, unlocked it, and didn't look back. I ran down the stairs, out onto the sidewalk, and didn't stop until I was in my car, doors locked, phone in hand. No new messages, no texts, nothing from Brielle. I filed a report the next day, gave the address, the name, the whole story. The officer said no one named Brielle had ever been listed at that apartment. The unit was empty, no leaseholder, but neighbors had complained recently about unfamiliar people entering and exiting at night. The apartment was cleared out. Whoever they were gone.